deed modification. Also on our agenda, we have a resolution to support Operation Green Light to honor our Franklin County veterans. And at this time, I'm going to ask Commissioner Shriver to read that proclamation.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to stand to read this in honor of our veterans. Be sure that those out there in the virtual world can hear me. I'm going to pick this mic up. Can you all hear me any better? All right. I'd like to ask Commissioner Foy to also stand. Commissioner Foy served in the United States Navy. So as a veteran, I'm asking you to stand with me tonight, sir. And for any of y'all in the room tonight that are veterans, I see a few faces out there. I'd like for y'all to stand if you would, if you feel so to do. All right, this is a resolution by the Franklin County Board of Commissioners. Whereas the residents of Franklin County have great respect, admiration, and the utmost gratitude for all men and women who have selflessly served our country in this community in the armed forces. And whereas the contributions and sacrifices of those who have served in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining the freedoms and the way of life enjoyed by our citizens. And whereas Franklin County seeks to honor individuals who have made countless sacrifices for freedom by placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all. And whereas veterans continue to serve our community in the American Legion, veterans of foreign war, religious groups, civil service, and many functions as county veteran service officers in 29 states to help fellow former service members access more than $52 billion in federal health, disability, and compensation benefits. And whereas approximately 200,000 service members transition to civilian communities annually. And whereas it's estimated that 20%, an estimated 20% increase of service members will transition to civilian life in the very near future. And whereas Franklin County appreciates the sacrifices of our United States military personnel and believes specific recognition should be granted. Therefore, let it be resolved, with designation as a green light for Veterans County, Franklin County hereby declares from October through November 11th, 2025, Veterans Day, a time to salute and honor the service and sacrifices of our men and women in uniform transitioning from armed services. Therefore, be it further resolved that in observation of Operation Greenlight, Franklin County encourages its citizens to patriotically tradition to recognize the importance of honoring all those who have made immeasurable sacrifices to preserve freedom by displaying a green light in a window of their place of business or their residence from November the 4th to November the 11th. Approved this third day of November 2025. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept this proclamation as I have written.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Did your motion include these two items?
Yeah, I'll make the motion. We add those two items you read first to the agenda.
Okay, and your second included that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further questions? Hearing none, what's the pleasure of the board? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item number 2, comments from the public. This is a time.
Consent agenda.
Yeah. I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion?
Second.
Second.
Yeah, I would like to have a couple items removed, if I could.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay, there's a couple of them here. The one here, the item F, that public safety radio system change order.
yes, sir.
Maybe I get some help on that. I thought that was already in the bid for completing the radio system, going over it, checking it, making sure it's working properly. Why is there extra money going into it?
See here? Yeah, you'll come on, just give a brief explanation. Thanks, Rusty.
Help me out, please.
We had some issues identified during coverage testing that we're working through, and it's taken TUSA's services a little bit more to work through them.
So that wasn't already included in the,
This is on top of what we've
on
already done.
top of what was there? Okay, all right. Thought it was, should have been included. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chrissy, can you speak to the fact that we have some type of escalation clause or some clawback in our agreement that if this is found to be not the county's fault and the vendor's fault, that we've got some insurance that we'll get this money back from the vendor?
I would feel more comfortable if your attorney answered that one.
Okay. Madam Attorney, if you answer that question. Thank you.
Real quick.
If in the event that there are any issues. It's the vendor's fault. There's a clause in there for what's called liquidated damages. So if there's a delay that goes beyond our date, then we will get a per day liquidated damages, and it escalates over time.
Thank you.
My next item is item G, the grant opportunity for cybersecurity position. And I saw that was for the amount of $243,270. Now, is that for just the person only, or does that include other things, or?
It's a grant. I'll have our finance director come up and give a brief comments on that, but there's some money tied to it. Is just for the position.
Okay.
240, I don't want to misquote, I think it's about $240,000. It is in the summary. We'll get that up.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's through
It's for like 3 years.
3 years through
It is 3
2028.
years, right? And it,
Okay, that whole 243,000. Okay. The county match, and that's just for the paid position? Well, hopefully that'll be paid for 5 or 10 years with that kind of money. Hopefully that's just not 1 year's salary. 3 years. Okay, so that's still putting 100,000 a year. But anyway. Yeah.
And can we, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, go
No, no,
ahead.
no.
I'm sorry.
I think this is probably somewhat important to talk about real quick, just so everybody can understand, at least from what I understand of this, is this is a cybersecurity position, I think, moving forward in the future that every county and every municipality is going to have. I think real quickly about a 60 Minutes interview or a 60 Minutes segment from several weeks ago where a local municipality up north, I think their wastewater treatment plant their computers were hacked, caused disruption. So when we're looking at this isn't just like so scammers don't get in emails. This is for serious infrastructure protection here. And I think those attacks are becoming more sophisticated as they move along. And so I think this is something responsibly that the county's got to look at for sure moving forward. It's my thoughts.
No, thank you, thank you. I've got one more item,
Yes, sir.
just addendum. 1I, the Franklinton deed modification. Could we elaborate on that just a little bit more?
from our Board of Education approved a motion, I believe it was 2 meetings ago, to remove the deed restriction on that, and is that accurate? It was two meetings ago?
The attorney for the Board of Education, then
From
Mr.
the attorney.
Yes,
You
Mr.
didn't
Fo-
hear from the school board member.
Mr. Sturgis, who represents the board and is gonna accurately represent what his board has conveyed, has asked that the county consider removing the alcohol restriction that was in the deed that we issued in 2021 on that property.
Okay. How did the vote, what kind of vote did the school board take? Was it unanimous or dissenting vote?
I do not know, sir.
You don't know. Okay. Okay, now when you say alcohol, is that off premise or on premise?
So the current deed that's on, that when the county issued the deed for this property in Franklinton, it included a restriction that no alcohol could be served at that location and that the building could only be used for 2 things, education or cultural events. The downtown Franklinton area is growing in a way that makes that building more useful for economic reasons to be a more like a restaurant or a place, a social gathering place where they serve alcohol, and the Board of Education has said that this is okay with them if that restriction on that building is removed.
Or the school attorney said that.
Yes, sir. School
Harry,
attorney.
that building is privately owned that we're discussing. It's not owned by the
The
school.
building
It
right
is-
there in front of the
Right.
middle school,
It is,
right in
and-
their front yard.
right, and I think that the school board is in favor of doing that.
You think?
I'm pretty sure
I
they
would
are.
love to hear from them. I
I'm
really
just-
would,
I'm
instead of
pretty
going
sure
by
they
an
are.
attorney. I just
Yeah.
would. Not that I got anything against attorneys, but I like to hear other people too. Because this is right in the front yard of that Franklinton Middle School. I mean, in the front yard. Especially if you'll have it where it's on premise. Boy, what does that say to the kids in the schoolhouse? Just, now off premise, I mean, I have stores of my own, but all my stores are off premise.
Well, it's on Main Street, so, you know, all the venues across the street.
It's where the old Franklinton City Schools, when they were their own district, that's where their office was at. I'm very much aware of that. And that's in their front yard. I mean, I know across the street, they've got things going on and down the street, but this is right in their front yard. And I just couldn't imagine having a bar in the front of the
Yeah,
schoolhouse.
I don't think it's going to be a bar. I think it might be like a restaurant or something like that.
But they're gonna have on premise.
But they'll have on premise, they'll be able to serve alcohol in it.
I just thought it was, you gotta put it up to a vote with the residents in that district. Well, if they want that to happen like that. Right in front of the school. That's my feeling. And hopefully we can separate this item out from the rest. And vote on it separately.
Yes, we can do that.
Mr. Chairman, I think one concern that Commissioner Foy has is how the vote turnout from the school board was, the balance of that vote, and I think Rosemary Champion, she attends all those school board meetings, she may can answer that for you.
Yeah.
There are going to be restrictions on the hours, so they won't be open during school hours. Selling alcohol from kids.
It'll be closed during school hours. And I think they still have to go through the ALE process too. Because I know from experience, they always want to know how close is a school or a church? We hope. I didn't think it'd even be big enough for that. It's a small building.
Yeah, Commissioner Foy, I was in there recently, just a few months ago, and there was a lot more space in there than what you realize.
Right.
So it's a pretty big building.
It's still just, I know across the street they're doing it, and down the street they're doing it. But in the front yard, just doesn't sound right. I know we don't have not like this serving beer in the front yard of the schools I went to. But anyway, that's all I have.
Yeah, let's make
Mr. Ford, you make a motion to pull that out and vote on it separately, or you okay?
Yes, I'll make that in a motion to pull it out and vote it on separately.
Okay.
That one item of all his items.
No, just
So
that one.
one eye.
All right, so we need a motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, didn't we already vote for that item?
I don't know, there's been so much
Oh,
talk. I can't keep up.
We voted to put it on the.
Yeah, we
agenda.
did.
Yeah.
but Didn't we vote for that along with that resolution?
No, my motion was to add that to the consent agenda.
Okay,
items.
gotcha. You're right.
And
You're right.
I haven't voted for it yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or against it.
Okay.
Okay, so this is what, on the rest of this consent agenda?
As I understand it, this is a
Not-
motion for the rest of the consent agenda except for the Franklinton deed modification.
Except for that one, okay,
Yes,
go ahead.
sir.
Motion made.
All right. Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries. Now we're gonna vote on the consent agenda, item 1I, Franklinton deed modification. What's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion to approve that.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed.
No.
Motion carried. I'm glad we got through that.
That was a little difficult.
Yeah, y'all stressing old man out.
I know.
Item number 2, fine, comments from the public. This is a time set aside by the Board of Commissioners to allow individuals 5 minutes each to address the board on issues concerning the county. The total time set aside for public comments is 30 minutes. The first person we have to have signed up is Rosemary Champion. Please come forward and state your name and address for the clerk.
Good evening. Rosemary Champion, 1168 White Level Road, Lewisburg, North Carolina. Good evening, Commissioners. Well, I'm here to bring up the consent agenda again, so more headaches for you. I've been coming to Commissioners' meetings for over 30 years. And there are two things that I've never seen this county go without at the majority of the county commissioner meetings. Feedback on animal services and the radio system, which it seems like we've been talking about for a long time. Tonight, you've got an item on the consent agenda, and thank you for taking that out and asking your questions because I had the same questions. It said a change order request for the radio system is listed at $93,160. This is for 504 hours at $165 an hour, plus $10,000 expense. The summary does not define where this money was coming from, and so we heard from Ms. Christie that it's additional funds that'll be paid. I'm assuming from fund balance, but I don't know about that. Were they already allocated? That question was answered also, that, you know, they have some change orders in there. But I feel like the community needs to have an explanation on this. There's been a lot of things added to this radio system, and I don't know whether anybody could give me a figure on how many additional items you've had to vote on. I think it's important, especially as we're coming to the end of this, for the community to know, you know, okay, this is what happened, and this is why we're going to pay $165 an hour for 504 hours and $10,000 for expenses, and we're going to have to come up with that out of our pocket. That's over and above what we've already paid. I would love for somebody to look at it from what it started to what it's going to end up costing the county. But the main thing is I feel like that these are things on the consent agenda, although it may fit the consent agenda, I think that it needs to be discussed in open public so that we know what's going on. There's probably good reason for this, but we don't know when all we see is they've decided they're going to pay $165 an hour to 504 people for 504 hours. We don't know. They could have been sitting on their duffs doing anything. You know, what kind of accountability do we have for that? But I just want to say that I really think you need to be more conscious of what you're putting on your consent agenda. And I think that bringing some of these items out, like Commissioner Shriver and Commissioner, we both did, was the way to do it. And I appreciate that, because if you go and you read in the addendum and in your addendum package, it's there, but it's not really clear. It just tells you the hours and the amount that you're giving them. There was nothing in there that said this is what happened and this is why we had to do it. And companies can milk you to death. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. The next person we have to sign up is Scott Strickland.
Good evening, Commissioners. Scott Strickland, 2435 Highway 56, Lewisburg. Lots going on. We, been called out on another mission, and unfortunately, it wasn't a sad mission. It was a great mission. The only thing sad about it, Mark broke his bush axe going through the trail. He's getting good at going to the ball field down on the river now. We've gone down it several times so far. But one thing that I've been asking for, and I understand that we got some surplus vehicles fixing to go to the sale, and we really need an equipment truck to put some equipment on it. Not only for searching equipment, but for saws and bush axes and stuff like that. We need to put cones and stuff. We've been asked to do a couple of parades. They don't have enough police officers to cover the area to do it. And so, the closest one that we've been asked to do is Lewisburg, and then we've got to go to Franklinton and do it at night. So we're requesting to at least get a surplus ambulance to put some equipment on from the county. We got several on the yard over there, and we could just get gracious blessed. We got blessed. If you look up on eBay right now, on what surplus radios that's go out there, it's $2,800. The town of Lewisburg give me $30,000 worth of surplus radio. So I'm questioning, the county at least help us out with a vehicle. I mean, we spent a lot of time out doing searches and stuff. We need to be a place to go to put, stuff, or sit down, or do, whatever. And having this kind of surplus, the last couple of sales we done, they really didn't bring that much. And so it'd just be a great help to us. But if, I do have some supporters if we have to go to the sale yard and do it, but I would really like to get it donated if we could. The other good thing about that has happened this week is, all my guys are, to give y'all at ease, all my guys has got workman's comp. All my guys has insurance. We've had great supporters to support us. So we went out and done the extra mile. If they go out on the river and break the leg, at least they get that 66%. So we're going the extra mile because they're doing the extra mile. And so we're going to do more fundraisers and be asking more from y'all to help support us. But if y'all could just grant us a vehicle, that'd be a great help to us. I mean, we're doing all we can do. We're just tugging along. And eventually one day we'll make enough money to maybe buy a new one. But, it takes somebody to start you off. I mean, it's kind of like when you start a business, you got to have somebody to help you kick it off. And so we're just asking a little help from the board, and I know you get tired of me asking, but when you're doing great deeds, you got to keep tugging along. I mean, I heard this thing, I'm going to close with this. Time is a funny thing. Look in the mirror. We ain't getting no younger. And y'all have a good night.
Thank you, Scott.
Scott. That's right.
All right, that brings us to item number 3, public hearings. A request for rezoning. Jason Rogers, Planning and Inspections Director, will provide a presentation.
Thank you, Chairman Bunn. All right. As Chairman Bunn stated, we have a public hearing for rezoning 25 REZ-02. Thank the commissioners for the opportunity to speak to you all this evening. Mr. Guerrero is requesting to rezone 2 parcels located off of Rocky Ford Road, parcel ID 052-312 and 052-313, totaling approximately 2.51 acres from neighborhood business to agricultural residential. The subject parcels are outlined in pink on the map on the screen. As you can see, they do adjoin agricultural residential parcels to the north as well as to the south. The land uses in the immediate area are primarily residential, with the exception of the Dollar General store that's located the southwest corner of Rocky Ford Road and NC 39 Highway. Mr. Guerrero also owns the neighborhood business zone parcel immediately adjacent to the subject properties. He wishes for that to remain neighborhood business at this time. He probably foresees in the near future that there will be an opportunity for a non-residential use there, considering the frontage along NC 39 Highway and Rocky Ford Road. He does state within the application that the residential demand in the area as justification for his request. The 2020 Comprehensive Land Use Plan does designate these parcels as well as surrounding parcels for rural uses. One other item to point out is that the ag residential zoning district that is being requested tonight is much less intensive than the existing neighborhood business zoning district that that the parcels currently have. Agricultural residential is primarily intended to accommodate low-density residential development. So these two lots here, again, one being 1.03 and one being 1.48 acres, certainly fits that mold. Moving along, the planning board did by unanimous vote recommend approval of the rezoning request during their October 14th planning board meeting. And as a reminder to the board, pursuant to General Statute 160D-605, any rezoning map amendment must have an accompanying zoning consistency statement, as well as a statement of reasonableness and whether it's in the public's interest. I have prepared, or staff has prepared, a zoning consistency statement for the board's consideration, and then I'll read it into the record at this time. The subject parcels are contiguous with agricultural residential zone property to the north and are located across Rocky Ford Road from agricultural zone parcels to the south. The comprehensive land use plan designates the area for rural uses characterized by large lots, abundant open space, pastoral views, and a high degree of separation between buildings. This rezoning request aligns with the rural designation and is consistent with the surrounding agricultural residential zoning pattern. The rezoning would allow uses compatible with the existing character of the area, which includes residential homes on large tracts and hobby farms integrated into the natural landscape. Public utilities are generally not available in this area. And again, tonight, if the board must determine whether the request is or is not reasonable with existing land uses and is or is not in the public interest. So the recommended action tonight is for the board to consider adoption of the zoning consistency statement and rezoning request 25 REZ02 for parcel IDs 052312 and 052313. I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have at this time.
Okay, does any questions from the board? Well, hearing none, I guess we'll,
Motion to approve.
Second.
Don't we have to
Motion to
open the
approve.
public hearing?
Yeah, we gotta do a
hearing.
public hearing first. So was your motion to make a public hearing, Mr. May?
Yes, sir.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And I'll make a motion to approve.
Well,
You can,
I think we gotta ask people if they're for or against.
Yeah.
oh,
So if anybody's for or against this issue at hand, come forward now, either for or against on this rezone. Hearing none, we can close the public hearing.
Motion closed.
Motion. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Now, Ms. Brad.
I can make a motion to approve the request to rezone the 2 point, whatever this thing says, all this stuff,
With the zoning.
without reading
consistencies.
it all, yes. Yes.
Second that.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Ross.
Thank you.
That brings us to item number 4, our action items. Race cars project update. Scott Parrish.
Good evening, Commissioners, Chairman, Mr. Manager. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to come talk to you tonight. We started the Race Cars Project, which is the randomized cluster evaluation cardiac arrest systems, back July 1st, 2022. So we've been able to compile 3 years worth of data to show you, and that's what we want to show tonight, is where we've made our improvements, where we've changed things based off of more hands-only CPR teaching, more community involvement, being able to change our entire cardiac arrest approach to how we approach those patients that are in cardiac arrest. With me tonight, I have Dr. Chris Granger, who's a cardiologist at Duke University. He is one of the clinical trial leaders for this, and I'm going to allow him to present the data for you guys.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Scott, and thanks for the chance to be here. And yeah, I'm a cardiologist at Duke. I used to work over down the street at Franklin Regional Medical Center doing shifts when I was a cardiology fellow a long time ago. Pretty familiar with your community, have a number of patients here, and really appreciate the work that you all do. And let me start by calling out Scott and saying that I've worked with EMS agencies all around the country, and Scott Parrish and the group here is really terrific. They're doing a remarkable job, and I really appreciate that on behalf of all your community members here in Franklin County. So cardiac arrest it's a common cause of death. There's about 8,000 or 9,000 people in North Carolina who die each year from cardiac arrest. Maybe 1 out of 10 people who die, that's what they die. That's how they die. And unfortunately, when someone's heart stops beating effectively and they become unresponsive, outside of the hospital, only about less than 1 in 10 survive. And it could be much better than that. And we know what improves survival, and it's the cardiac arrest being witnessed, bystander CPR, the person there knowing how to do CPR, starting CPR, calling 911, and then first responders getting there. And I'll get back to the first responders because that's so important. Paramedics get there, but it's important to have something done before the paramedics get there. Ideally, having an AED placed, an automatic external defibrillator placed, and having the rhythm shocked to save someone before EMS gets there. Because you only have about 10 minutes before the brain has irreversible injury from lack of blood supply. And it takes, Scott, about 10 minutes for paramedics to get there. So that's why it's still really important they get there. Critically important to save the lives, but something has to happen before then, and that's the community knowing CPR, the members of the community knowing CPR, calling 911. The telecommunicators in the 911 dispatch center also really important that they recognize that it's a cardiac arrest and they instruct the person to do CPR. And even someone who maybe just had a little bit of training many years ago, with the telecommunicator doing a good job instructing CPR, pretty good CPR can be done that can save the person's life. And then finally, the first responders. Now, first responders in North Carolina, usually it's fire, and in rural communities, a lot of times it's volunteer firemen. And that's something I think there may be an opportunity in Franklin County to have even more engagement with fire in this process. Law enforcement, the sheriff's department, especially in the rural environment, can also really help. Okay, so that's a little bit of background. Now I'll go through this pretty quickly. So this is a trial that's supported by the federal government, by the National Institutes of Health. We took 60 counties in North Carolina and randomized them to either intervention. Intervention means we do the best we can at those 3 things: training everybody CPR, having the telecommunicators identify that it's a cardiac arrest and instruct CPR, and having first responders get there with an AED. Those three things in intervention counties. And then we have control counties. They're doing what they normally do. And what we want to show is that if we do like what Scott Parrish and his team are doing in Franklin County, in our intervention counties, we can improve survival compared to the control counties. And it'll really change. I think it'll change, if we're successful, it'll change what's done around the country. So not only will it help residents of Franklin County, it'll help people all around the country. These are the intervention counties in red, and you see Franklin County and Person County and Warren County are kind of a cluster here of counties that are in the intervention group. Covers about 80% of the population of North Carolina, this trial. In Franklin County, since the beginnings, over this 3 years, there's been 120 cardiac arrests, and I think 7 of them have survived, something like that, which is about what we expect. But what we want to see is that improving. Unfortunately, most cardiac arrests occur in people's homes. If they occurred downtown in a supermarket where there are a lot of people around, then we could save a lot more people. But if it occurs in people's homes, then we have to train each person CPR and to call 911 and to get to that home quickly. And that's hard. So here's the good news. This is just a chart that shows these 30 intervention counties. And on the left-hand side of this chart are the smaller counties, and then on the right-hand side, the larger counties. For the small, medium-sized counties, Franklin County is the best in North Carolina at bystander CPR. And that's, again, due to the work that Scott has done on training people CPR. I think we can do even better, but it's really good. The bad news, and this is true of every rural county, is it's a lot harder to get first responders there and put an AED on. And that's because distances are longer, there's less resources for having AEDs in every fireman's car, of having law enforcement have AEDs. But those are some of the things that Scott's working on doing, getting more AEDs in the hands of people who will save the lives of these people when they arrive at the cardiac arrest. And then this is the defibrillation rates are low. But there's opportunity, and there's some really, I think there has been some important improvement over time. Survival with good neurologic outcome, it's relatively low. In rural counties, it's only 3 or 4%, and that's about what it's been in Franklin County. But again, every one of those people is someone who goes home to their families and has another Christmas celebration, and so it's really important, and I think we can improve that. The telecommunicators are doing a really good job. They're as good as anybody in the state at recognizing when someone calls and it's a cardiac arrest, which can be hard to do from the telecommunicators. And then they're also pretty good at instructing the person to do CPR and getting that done fairly quickly, because the quicker that's done, the more likely there is for survival. This is that relationship that I was talking about, that you have about 10 minutes, and for every minute of delay during that 10 minutes, there's about a 10% lower chance of survival. So if we can get that first responder there within 5 to 7 minutes, well, there's a really good chance for survival. And that's why the fire departments and the law enforcement is so important to this project. And that was shown, these are data that were published from North Carolina showing that if it's in these first 5 minutes or so, when the AED was placed, it was most often by the first responders and not very commonly by the paramedics, because it takes them longer to get there. So we talk about this chain of survival. It starts with recognizing that it's a cardiac arrest, calling 911, doing CPR, and using the AED. And we did this interesting analysis. We said, okay, if it's so important to have the firemen get there quickly, is there a relationship between how far your house is from the nearest fire department and survival? And there was. If you live near, it's kind of like insurance rates and go up if you're further from a fire department for home insurance. Same thing here. You're more likely to survive if you live near a fire department that's staffed with someone who can respond if there's a cardiac arrest call. So again, our 3 interventions are bystander CPR. By the way, Scott, This is something for you all to know. And this is so great because this is really a community effort and you all are the community leaders. So I'm so glad you're interested to hear, to have us update this. But on February 25th, we're going to try to break the world record on number of people trained in CPR in one day. And so, and Scott will be working on this in Franklin County. We'll try to get a bunch of people trained on February 25th. Then the 911 dispatch center, they're doing a good job here. And the first responders, like every rural county, there's opportunity for more AEDs in the hands of firemen who will go right to these cardiac arrests. So I'll summarize then with just these few points. Survival is mainly determined by two things: bystander CPR and defibrillation that occurs pretty quickly. The care of cardiac arrest, the way survival is improved is through community efforts. It's through the people, leaders in this room knowing about this and supporting it. The public, telecommunicators, and first responders all play a key role in that link of survival. They all need to play their part. Community leaders, health systems are critical to organize the community. And then data collection. This is another thing Scott and his team does, is data collection, because we collect information on every cardiac arrest so we know how long did it take, what are the areas for improvement, how can we improve. That's another important part of this. So thanks again for hearing our update, and thank you to your community for your commitment to this important project to save more lives.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you.
And just to add a few things from Dr. Granger's presentation is we were one of the first recipients of the Heart Safe Workplace. Franklin County as a whole was in the state. We made a commitment to train 100% of our employees in hands-only CPR. We've added that into new employee orientation when they come through. Our safety team does that through departments as well, so we are still continuing that piece. We've trained, we had a goal of 10% of the population of the county, so roughly a little over 7,000 people. We're sitting right around 4,500 to 5,000 people that we've trained in the communities and through our workplace as well as a whole in hands-on CPR. So adding more CPR to the community, giving more recognition. Our telecommunicators do a great job of being able to recognize this on the phone and telling people, when to start CPR, which is a tough job in and of itself because you're sitting on a phone trying to figure out if someone needs, CPR. Of course, the old joke is if they tell you to stop, they probably don't need it, right? Which is what we teach as well. So we are pushing out more public access AEDs. We've donated several to churches, which is something we're trying to do and put more in the community and more in lock boxes or AED cabinets, not necessarily locked, outside for community involvement so they can get an AED whenever they dial 911. Any questions?
Any questions from the board?
I've got one. Do you reach out to folks that are wanting to get certified CPR? Or
We've made several announcements, and then we also work with the local hospital here. They do community training as well, and we've told people, if they want this. We started last year the Ray Patterson AED program to where if a church or some other entity would like to receive an AED, we provide the training, we give them the AED. Just one of the caveats is we would like for these to be placed outside, so the public can actually access the AEDs.
Scott, the other thing I might add is certification is actually not needed. That's needed for healthcare professionals. But for the public, it's pretty simple, and it can be trained in about 15 minutes. It's really just pushing hard and fast in the center of the chest until the paramedics get there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easier to train the public in this.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions from the board?
Do our deputies, the Franklin County deputies, do they carry AEDs in their car?
There are several in
Several.
the community that have them.
Okay.
I would like to see, of course, 100%.
Sure.
Right, which is a large investment, but that is something that we've been working with our sheriff on as well, and other local law enforcement partners and the municipalities as well.
Law enforcement's already trained, deputies trained to do CPR.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And it's part of their training for in-service law enforcement training as well.
How,
Yes, sir.
how much does an AED cost?
So they vary in price. You can get them anywhere from, I think it's right around $1,000 is going to be one of the bare minimum prices, upwards of $3,000 depending on where you buy them. The ones we recommend, of course, we were able to find a deal through the Duke group here to be able to purchase them for around $1,300 to match up with our EKG monitors that we use. So there's no lag in time of plugging them in. They actually match up with ours. And one thing we've been able to get, we had several donated by this group that we were able to push out to our local fire departments as well to replace some of the older AEDs they had in place, and be able to put a newer box on their truck, if you will. And that's where we're taking the ones, Mr. Boyd, for bringing them back in. We refurbish them, and those are the ones that we donate out.
Thank you, Scott, for your
Thanks, guys.
presentation.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having us.
All right, that brings us to item 4B. Christopher Doherty, come forward, please.
Good evening. I'm going to go tonight, thank you for having me, to discuss the additional water and sewer allocations. The additional for calendar 2025, the water came from either recoup water that was from previous allocations that had expired or projects that have been withdrawn from the list. So we had a stockpile there, and we held a UAC meeting on October 8th, and all of the projects were approved unanimously. I'll go through each one by one, but ask for a single vote at the end. And the total amount of gallons that was recommended by the UAC was 66,150 gallons per day worth of allocation.
To do all 10.
To do, yes,
Okay.
correct. So the first one is Conyers Woods subdivision. It's in the Youngsville planning area. It's 50 units. It's a new project with a record date of November 30, 2027. This 50 units. And it was unanimously approved by the UAC. The second project is Holden Conyers Townhomes, new project in the Youngsville planning area, 50 lots, recommended by the UAC, and a record date of November 30, 2027. Third, Holden Pond Townhomes. This one is 47 lots. It is a new project, recommended by the UAC with a record date of November 30, 2027. Request for Holden Woods Townhomes, 44 lots. It's a new project. UAC recommended, and a record date of November 30, 2027. Stalling Meadows Townhomes, Stalling Meadows Towns, 50 lots. It's a new project in Youngsville planning area. Record date of November 30, 2027. Stalling Pound Towns, 50 units. It's a new project within Youngsville planning area. UAC recommended it, record date of November 30, 2027. Stalling Woods Towns, 49 units. It's a new project. It's in Youngsville planning area, recommended by the UAC, and a record date of November 30, 2027. Request for Golden Ridge Phase 2. It's an existing project. It's within the county planning area, with a record date of November 30, 2020, actually 2027, not 2028. There's a typo on the slide. I apologize for that. Then a new request for Van Cortlandt Manor for 50 units. It's a new project. This is in Franklinton planning area. Record date of November 30, 2027. And the Beekman Place Townhomes. It is in Franklinton. It's 50 units. It's a new project. Record date of November 30, 2027. So total with all all of the projects out there, 516 lots equaling 66,150 gallons per day worth of water and sewer allocation. Recommendation from staff is to consider and approve the Utility Advisory Committee's recommendations from the October 8th, 2025 Utility Advisory Committee meeting with all of them have a record date of November 30, 2027. I stand by to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, does the board have any questions for Chris on this topic?
I'd like to make a motion, we approve this request.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Brings us to 4C, Public Utilities Maintenance Building Bid Award. Chris Doherty.
While this is pulling up, I'm going to introduce Mark Loudermilk. Mark is the architect that designed the building and the lead professional firm for the entire project. So the project purpose for this project is ARPA funds. The project purpose is to construct a new maintenance building at the wastewater treatment plant to go alongside our existing maintenance building that is there. We will be moving as part of the whole project. Just some high levels. I'll let Mark explain more in detail. We're going to move the SCADA radio and computer system to the maintenance building instead of the administrative office, because the maintenance folks, water and sewer crews, they're the ones that need to use it every day. So this way it'll be within their house, as I'll call it. And also one of the other key features are larger drive-in bays and locked tool and inventory storage. Mark?
Thank you, Chris. Good evening, everyone. Glad to be here. Our firm operates down in Wilmington, so it was a little bit of a drive, but I did check out the Mexican restaurant down at the end, me and my wife, and it was a great place to eat. I appreciate that. As Chris mentioned, we've been working on this project for a little over a year, and we finally got it out to bid a little while ago. And just to briefly describe it to you, you can see our site plan superimposed on the aerial map of the area. There's a small shed building there now that's going to be taken down. We're going to save it to the side in case they can reuse it. But the new building will be in that position right there. And then on the next slide, we have a floor plan, I believe. I have to do it. Thank you. This is the floor plan. Basically, on the right-hand side, the entrance is at the upper right. You can see the columns. We've got a large training room that can be subdivided similar. It's got an operable wall similar to this one here. So you can have 2 meetings at the same time or 2 training sessions. We've got lots of offices for Chris and his staff. We have locker rooms and lots of workspace for all of your employees. So, but we also have the bottom left are the large garage bays. They'll have 14-foot high doors, so his vehicles can come in and out for their various repairs and daily visits to the garage. But and in the upper left is the inventory storage areas for all of the inventory that Chris and his group have to store on a regular basis. The next slide just has the basic elevations. It is a pre-engineered metal building, so that's a cost savings. Oh, I'm sorry. You told me that. It's basically just a pre-engineered metal building, which is economical and also quick to build. We did add a little bit of brick to the front side so that it's not so utilitarian. And we made a nice covered entrance. We will have the county logo on the building, although I think we've rotated the building from the original position that we had it, so we might need to move the sign to the other side now, so you see it when you come up the driveway. And then the bids that we received 7 bids. Oh, I'm learning. There we go. We received 7 bids. Many were, within a very small percentage of each other. One was, pretty high, but the most responsible and reasonable bid was received from Engineered Construction Company. They're based in Raleigh. So Chris is going to recommend that we approve their bid and get started with that process. Yeah, thank you.
So the recommendation from staff and Loudermilk Architects is approve, no different than the last project we did, approve the resolution of tentative award. That is a requirement of the ARPA funding. Tentatively award the contract to Engineered Construction Company in the amount of $3,594,238. That includes 5% contingency. Again, state requirement for the ARPA funding. The reason why it's tentative is the state has to approve the bid. Once they give us their approval, we will formally award the bid. Authorize the use of $1,286,834 from the Public Utilities Fund balance to cover the difference between the ARPA funding and the actual project costs, and authorizing the county manager to sign the construction contract with Engineered Construction Company and any other required contractual and construction documents pending review by the county attorney. Stand by to any questions that you may have.
Would you say that total cost was again?
$3,594,238.
$3.5 million.
$3.5 million, yes, sir.
How many square foot?
It is just shy of 13,000 square feet, approximately 7,000 heated square feet, and 6,000 for tool storage and vehicle bays. But, excuse me?
That was a low bid.
That was the low bid, yes, sir. And the storage bay, or the drive-through bays will be heated because during the wintertime, we have our sewer cleaning trucks that we have to keep water in them, so they will be heated just so it doesn't freeze and cause other issues.
What do we do right now?
We squeeze them into our other bay that we have. It's a tight squeeze. We have had to lower the air pressure in the tires a couple times to get it in there.
And how does moving the SCADA system, how is that going to work as far as keeping everything online and operational?
So I've already talked with our SCADA integrator, DFE Associates, and what they're going to do is they're going to get everything ready to roll, and then we will go dark. He'll have the new antenna mounted, the new cabling, everything at the new place, and then ready to move the base station, which is the radio cabinet, over. Will be dark maybe for a couple hours, 2 to 3 hours tops. But what we will do we will make sure all of our tanks are full prior to that, and we will have staff on standby checking the tanks hourly, and then checking our lift stations, our critical lift stations.
Was the bid including from Engineer Construction out of Raleigh, was that bid including taking the existing building down, or is that separate?
Yes, that included that, and leaving that existing building on site where we ask them to put it so we can use it elsewhere within the department.
So the financing or the money for this comes from
Our
the
ARPA funding.
and can you, and
Yeah.
public utility, so it's not general funds?
Correct.
Just
It's
make
no
sure.
general fund.
Okay.
Thank you, Jenny.
Any other questions? Mr. Doherty?
Move for approval of action.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Brings us to item 4D, resolution approving financing of various capital projects. It's Jamie Holzman.
You knew I didn't know where it was.
I'm actually going to introduce Mitch with Davenport. They're our investment company, so that they will be taking care of the presentation.
Well, good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Mitch Pergulio, Davenport and Company, the county's financial advisor. Appreciate y'all having us back this evening here for your, as you consider your final action for the 2025 limited obligation bond financing. We did put together a quick recap here for you. Here we go. Of the financing as it stands. Currently looking to fund 4 projects, the Judicial Center, EMS station, a facilities management warehouse, and upgrades at the Sheriff's facility. Those 4 projects would be financed through a direct bank loan with Webster Bank. You all may recall 2 meetings ago, we reviewed the proposals that came in and you all approved moving forward with Webster Bank for that. At your last meeting, you approved an initial resolution to move forward with this financing, which brings us to this stage this evening, which would be your final approval, approving all of the terms of that Webster Bank proposal and authorizing staff to execute the closing of the financing. Total amount we're looking at is just over $36.2 million. It will have a 20-year final maturity at a 4.39% interest rate. You will maintain the ability to prepay that financing beginning at the 6-year mark with a prepayment penalty, and then at the 8-year mark and beyond, you can prepay that without penalty. In terms of next steps, you see a lot of this is grayed out. We're here at the end. Tonight is your final approval, should you choose to approve moving forward with this financing. Tomorrow, the Local Government Commission will consider their approval of the financing. We did get that application submitted in early October, and it is on their agenda for consideration tomorrow. After those 2 approvals, if approved, we are planning to close on the financing, which is when your funds will be available to spend on the project on November 12th. Happy to answer any questions you all have.
Does the board have any questions for Mitch?
Made the motion, we approve the action request.
Okay, we have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for that.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
Thanks, bud.
Brings us to item number 5, board manager and clerk's comments. Madam Attorney, do you have any comments? Ms. Kristen? Mr. Ford?
Yes. Like a couple of things here I'd like to go over. I know we've been talking about doing away with some of the advisory boards and committees and stuff. My main one that I'm talking about is the Senior Advisory Board, which I sit on. I have brought that up before them, and I got a resounding no to that. They adamant that they want to keep their advisory board. They're always got a quorum. Everybody's always there every 3 months. And I don't argue with my seniors. I'll never do that. So did want to let you know that they're very strongly opposed getting rid of the Senior Advisory Board. I had the honor and the privilege to attend the Bunn EMS grand opening here a few days ago. Very impressive. And I'll end this on my thing. I'm sure everybody here has heard about the tragedy in Zebulon with the kids that were found in that home. How sad. How sad. But we can rest assured we know where the 4 other kids are at right now in heaven above. Most definitely. I pray for the little 3-year-old. Hopefully everything works out and turns out pretty good. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Mr. Davis?
Thank you, Chairman. The only thing I have tonight is, I want to bring attention to the board and make a motion, but, I have an appointment for the Tourism Development Authority. My appointment from earlier this year is no longer able to be a part of that board, so we have an open space. So I would, like to make a motion to appoint Ann Akers, to that board. And, she came highly recommended from multiple different people. So if I can make a motion on that and handle that piece of business, that would be great.
Second.
Motion's made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. That's all I got.
Sir, Mr. Shriver.
Nothing to report. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. May.
I wanted to go to the Bun EMS ribbon cutting. But
Why
under
didn't you?
Under these circumstances, I did not make it. But I can say one thing, they come see me a few days earlier, and Crockett County EMS station, right on. But I will say one thing, my leg was caught all the way back up against my butt, and I was trying my best before I called anybody to straighten their leg. There wasn't no way I could do it. So I went and hollered. It's 5:30 in the morning. I went and hollered for my wife. You know, she don't get it at 5:30 in the morning. And she looked at, and I did not turn the light on that morning. I was on the phone. She said, "Where you at?" I said, "My butt's down here on the ground." So when she called 911, they come up and the lady went to mess. I said, "You can't get it that way." So she was gonna give me a painkiller. It was called fentanyl. I said, "You ain't giving me no fentanyl." See too much of that stuff on TV, you know. But she said, "Look, this is medical fentanyl." So everything worked that good. She got my legs straightened out, and y'all got a good crew. I appreciate that.
Commissioners, May, I'm just glad you got here with the rest of your bridge.
Oh yeah, they cut the ladies cut my britches off on me too. So
I know, you wore them again tonight.
it was that kind of exciting, you know. I told my
Mark,
wife.
you're up next.
I told my wife. I said, "You need to take notes." Let's go before I get in trouble.
Thank you, Mr. May.
No, I was gonna let him continue. I wanted to see where this was going. You know,
TMI.
They've done a good job.
I'd just like county, if we could ask the county manager to get Christie to come to our next meeting and give us a breakdown on the cost that we have incurred with some of these changes, to the radio system. And, also, I would like to know, what our bid process is as far as receiving bids and how they are handled, when they come in. Can you explain that, or do we need to get someone else to do that?
Well, it depends on the process, but, and the amount. There's a lot of factors that go into it.
Or do they come in as sealed bids, or are they emailed, hand delivered? Are
We
they
still
all
have-
opened at the same time, or are they opened as they come in?
So if it's, depending on the project and the cost, we set a deadline, those have to come in before then. And at the end of that, at that deadline, we open those sealed bids up.
Okay. Also, I continue to hear a lot of complaints, about our small sessions. I've heard it for over a year now, and people do not trust what we're doing. It relays a bad image, and, you know, I'm all about transparency and earning the public's trust. And therefore, I make a motion that we cease and desist with these small sessions.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
The small sessions, and I hate to agree to have the small sessions, but there are things that we talk about in this county and trying to set up new things to come into the county, and there's a lot of confidential information that's handled when we're trying to negotiate businesses and deals and things like that. They tell us they tell us that if this gets out in the public, then it's off the table. There's just there's so many things that we discuss in those sessions that if it becomes public, it just messes up the whole project of what we're working on. And that's the importance of the small sessions, is to cover those things.
For what, 3 or less members? Correct.
I'd actually, I'll interject here too a little bit. I actually agree with you on that, but to me, there are certain things, and maybe people will disagree with me on this, but there are certain things that come up on a monthly basis that, for me, as a busy person on the private side, I don't really care. And I would say that's a bulk of what we're doing, but needs to be done. For example, Novanesis water tower, right? I think I can speak on this, correct? As far as repainting or re-stickering, that obviously had legal hoops that had to be jumped through. That was a tower that they wanted to rebrand, excuse me. And we went back and forth on that for 2 months, 3 months. I don't know. That's one of those times in those small sessions that we can kind of handle that business there. And I'm not saying everything's like that, but there's a bulk of this, and I understand. There's obviously public distrust, I think, in all facets of government when you're sitting on that side or this side or whatever it is. So any way that we can become more transparent with it, I've got zero issues with it. But some of the minutia that's had to be dealt with, I don't know. One of the complaints typically from the public, and especially from me too, as a private person, because that's what I consider myself, because I have a business on the private side, is government efficiency, right? Like, the government moves slow. The government can't do this. The government can't get out of its way. And there's a lot of truth to that. There's also a whole bunch of stuff that comes across that these kind of sessions right here do speed up and get out of the way. And I think there's some importance to that, not tying up county resources, county employees, all of that stuff that we can do. So that's my point to it. I'm happy to look at anything that will make us seem more transparent and be more transparent. I got no problem with that, but I don't think I can vote for removal of these small sessions in total.
I think they do a great service. Commissioner Speed, I would encourage you that when people challenge you about this or ask you about it, you take the time to share with them the value that you've been able to experience. Because you can't deny the value, right?
I do that,
So
but
at the end of
still
the day-
people cannot see. We are
Okay.
meeting behind
But wait,
closed doors.
let me finish.
You know?
Well, that's the whole thing, is people out here looking for reasons to pick and prod, all right? And we have to be, we're elected as to be leaders. And part of being a leader is helping people understand, but also realizing that you're never going to get everybody to agree. But you still have an obligation to the oath that you took, which was to deliver a product, which is to serve to the best of your ability to the basis of the people. And there is no government that's capable of doing the efficiency that this county is now required to do without some way of having a conversation. I mean, what's next? We can't have a phone call with each other. We can't have a phone call with the manager. Can't talk to the attorney unless we do it here in this room. I mean, when's it going to end? And so I'm just saying that, you're going to get some people, some outliers, they call them, with no disrespect, that are going to complain. But God bless us, if we took care of every complaint from anybody and everybody, from anywhere, you think government slow down. So, if I thought there was something morally or ethically wrong, or that we were in some way breaking the law, by all means, cease and desist.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. I mean,
So I just don't believe.
we all know.
Well, let me finish. That's why I believe that we as leaders have to take the more difficult step, which we've got to say, well, I appreciate your concerns. It's unfortunate you don't trust me, but we've got a body of work to do, and we're going to do it. For those reasons, I'm voting to keep these small groups, because I think they're critical to the mission of the work of the people.
And I believe that we were each elected because the people trusted us to take care of the business of the county.
Good point. And when we're not elected because we're not
That's a
trusted,
good point.
then
I mean,
someone else can be
seriously.
elected that is trusted.
That's right.
But while we're here, we need to serve.
That's right.
And we need to serve the best.
The
of our
best we
ability.
can. And that is one of the ways we have to do it.
And mind you, that in the world we live in today, you can get in touch with any one of us at any given time.
Right.
You got a cell phone right here, you got daggone email, you got text messages. You know, it's not hard to get up with us like it was 35 years ago, where if you didn't call them, catch them at the house, you got to look before they even had answer machine. You know?
Yeah, and I think I'd go a step further too, because there's multiple people in this room that call me, and I love it and I enjoy it. You can call me and you can ask for an update. And unless it's something that I feel like that's a NDA on something that, you know, we might have, or, you know, for economic development, and somebody in particular said, we do not want this out, we'll tank the project or whatever. But very rarely that's it. But most of this stuff on here, you know that you can call me and I'll give you as honest and a full update as possible. But I don't know, this is the easiest way for us to.
The purpose
most
of this,
efficient way.
of this meeting is to conduct the people's business. I use the word conduct because that's what we're doing. We're voting and conducting the business. Nowhere in there it says we're supposed to discuss every little spinal detail about everything possible at the end of the day. We're here to conduct the business. We took the time to discuss every little thing. Might as well start at 8 o'clock and block off 24 hours. Wouldn't be possible.
Full-time job.
And no, it wouldn't be a full-time job. It would be a thankless job, and there'd be
Yeah.
nobody here because nobody would do it.
That's right.
So,
You know, being one of the rookies on the board, I learn a lot in these short sessions, you know.
you do.
And sometimes
you
it's a
do
lot
grow.
easier to ask a question back then than it would be ahead, you know.
Because
It
it's
allows you to-
time consuming.
Well, and it allows you to get the backstory
Yes.
of, you know, 3 or 4 years ago or 3 or 4 laws ago. That helps you begin to realize, oh, okay, I understand this more because now I understand that. We really want to take the time to have this discussion sitting here in the meeting that's for us to conduct a business, not to learn and to become more intelligent. I'm a, so,
My turn.
okay, yes, sir. He's chairman.
I know one thing, about 3 or 4 meetings ago, after we got done with the meeting, getting ready to go to the closed doors back there, we had about like 16, 15 items on that consent agenda. There's 2 little old ladies that were sitting here, they're not here tonight, but they come up there. And they said, you had 15, 16 items on that consent agenda. And it was all voted for in just one vote. And they were saying, how can you do that with 16 different items? And I thought about that, and I thought about that, and I said, you know, this ladies make some sense right there. How can you go through all those items in one thing? I know some of them are just routine, but all of them aren't just routine, like some of the ones we discussed earlier when we first come to the meeting tonight. They need further discussion. I know I get a lot out of Mr. Preeble's weekly email updates on what's going on, what's coming down the tubes and stuff. And with the stuff that's going on in this county, I mean, it's a whole lot more to it than what it was 35 years ago. It was so simple back then, but it's growing by leaps and bounds. We got more issues going on. And for the cut from 2 meetings a month down to 1, I don't know, couldn't help but wonder what happened. You know what I mean? We have a lot coming down the tubes.
But on the consent agenda, we do have backup, so we know what each of those items are. Because there's backup when we get our agendas.
Well,
And so we know if you read everything in there,
I still,
that we get a book. When we get the agendas, we get a book. And there's a lot of backup information. So if you sit and read all that, you kind of know what's going on, and you can ask the questions according to what, if there's something missing that you need to know.
But
So-
I don't have no problem sitting here and doing that
Right,
in front of the audience. I don't.
right.
none
It would take
whatsoever.
a lot of time.
I don't have any objections when you like call something out to
I
go
don't.
over. I'd be like,
I
yeah, let's
don't
talk
either.
about it for, you know, so there's complete understanding.
Right, if
don't
there's
take
something
any,
I don't
like,
understand, I
bad
would call it out. Yeah.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor. All in favor of stopping the small group, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No,
No. Motion failed. All right, brings us to, are you done with your comments, Mr. Speed?
I am done. You won't have to hear me anymore.
Ms. Bragg?
oh, well, you know, I have a lot of stuff going on. I attend the, what did you say?
I said she admits it.
I do admit it. I do.
That was with love, by the way.
I know it was. I did attend the Council of Government Summit, which they do every year. They have a summit somewhere in the region. And, it was, very informational, learned a lot. It was a great summit this year. And I think that I'd like to see more people attend. A lot of people do attend. It's regional, but it was a great, summit this year. I attended 2 ribbon cuttings in Franklinton, one for the Soul Cafe, which is a new coffee place, and one for Sticks, which is the games room, over on the, off of Water Street in Franklinton. Hospital board was, there's so much going on in our hospital here. When I say hospital board, I go to Henderson to that meeting because it's Mariah Parham, but I'm just talking about what's happening in the hospital here in Lewisburg, because I make them break out everything so they can tell me, I want to know what's going on here in Franklin County. And we have a lot going on in Franklin County. They're still doing the renovations, and it's going to be really nice when they finish the renovations. I've been able, since my accident, I've been able to come over there and have several tests run, twice since this last accident. Because we have the hospital here and I can get the CAT scans and stuff here and don't have to go all the way to Durham to Duke or some other place to Raleigh or whatever. I can get them right here in Lewisburg. And that's really convenient. And I've had excellent experience when I go in there to do that. I just want to say, the ER, they are working on the ER, and in the ER, they do, psychological patients and whatever. And they're going to close 3 of the bays so that they can actually put the patients that come in there and close the doors to the bays if they need to with some of the patients. So that's something new that they're doing. VIA is putting a new building for some of these patients. It'll be in Henderson, but they're going to be open 24 hours there. And I think that's going to be a good thing. They're discussing having a mobile pain unit, which will be coming to Lewisburg when they start that, to work with patients that are in pain. The orthopedic clinic in Lewisburg is now full-time, where it was part-time, it's moved to full-time. There's a lot of new things going on. They do have, officers in the hospitals now. It was a law and they changed the law because it was difficulty and not where you don't have to keep the officers in the hospitals all the time now. But in Mariah Parham, they do have some other things. They're not going to keep them there full time, but they will have an officer in Mariah Parham here in Franklin County 24/7, since it's a smaller hospital. And I've seen those when I've gone in there. The last thing is, for September, they had 82 admissions in our hospital here, and we had 371 outpatient visits. So this hospital in Lewisburg is pretty active. There's a lot going on there. So, and I can tell you from personal experience, I've been and had tests done and had good results from that. I did attend the Council of Governments Executive Board meeting this month, And I did go to the Bund EMS ribbon cut. So I've been busy. That's
Very
it.
good, very good. I'm gonna go next and then I'll ask the manager to speak. For my comments tonight, this is my last full meeting as being your chairman, because next month we will elect new officers, and I just wanted to thank each and every one of y'all for supporting me, and it was an honor and a privilege to be your chairman this year. That concludes my statement.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to recognize a couple of individuals. I'd like to recognize our newly appointed Animal Services Director, Jerry Jones, if he wants to stand and let everybody know he's here. Thank you, Jerry. And then our newly appointed Planning Inspection Director, a familiar face, Jason Rogers.
Support confidence in me to continue building on the foundation that has established over the last 7 years. As far as planning and inspection, it was over 20 years now, and feel an honor to serve as the county planning and inspection director. That we've had in one department. So
All right, thank you, Jason. I just want to say thank you to staff for all the work they've done on several projects, and I know I'll forget some of them. Just want to call out a couple of projects, especially as we go through some of these ribbon cuttings. EMS stations, public safety radio project, courthouses, all that goes into making that happen, public utilities, various projects, and of course, our parks and recs. Thank you to all of our staff for making that happen behind the scenes. Your hard work does not go unnoticed, so thank you for all you do. Chairman.
All right. That brings us to item number 6 on our agenda, our closed session. The board is asked to enter into closed session pursuant to the following North Carolina general statutes. NCGS 143-318.11A3, attorney-client privileged communication, and NCGS 143-318.11A6, personnel. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move to go in closed session.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Motion carries.